Lily Everett was a passionate historian, her fascination mostly anchored in ancient architecture. Over the years, she had visited countless historical sites and mansions, always seeking stories etched into walls and stairwells. It was her curiosity that led her to the Merrick Mansion, an architectural marvel shunned by locals due to its rumored haunted aura. The Merrick Mansion, named after its last known owner, Lord Merrick, was a sprawling structure, with magnificent carvings on its exterior and vast intricate rooms inside. However, despite its beauty, the mansion remained vacant and was mostly avoided, especially after sundown. Tales of ghostly apparitions and eerie sounds were common, keeping away potential visitors and buyers. Lily, being a skeptic, saw past these stories. To her, every creak was just the wood settling, every whisper just the wind. So, one evening, accompanied by the soft glow of her lantern and armed with her notes, she ventured deep into the mansion. While engrossed in her work, Lily felt an uncanny sensation, like a cold breath on her neck. A soft, indistinct whisper seemed to echo through the vast halls. Curiosity piqued. She decided to follow the source. The whispers became more pronounced as she found herself in front of a grand, spiral staircase. This staircase, with its ornate railings and ancient craftsmanship, was an absolute delight to her historian's eye. But what truly caught her attention was an anomalous shadow that seemed to move independent of her own. A massive, elongated shadow writhed along the staircase walls, although no discernible source of light could have caused such a phenomenon. Intrigued yet apprehensive, Lily took a hesitant step upwards. The shadow seemed to react, climbing higher with her, gradually taking a form that looked eerily human. Lily's heart pounded in her chest as she ascended, each step making the shadow grow bolder and more defined. The whispers she had followed now sounded like a chorus of hushed voices, recounting tales of despair and longing. Suddenly, a chilling realization washed over her. This staircase, she remembered from her research, was where Lord Merrick had reportedly been found lifeless many decades ago, with an expression of sheer terror. It was said he was running from something that lurked in the shadows. Desperate to flee, Lily turned to make her way back down, but the staircase seemed to stretch endlessly below her, each step taking her further away from the entrance. Panic ensued as the shadowy figure loomed closer, its touch icy cold, fingers almost tangible. As the darkness threatened to engulf her, a sharp, blinding light pierced the mansion. The village's search party, concerned about the historian who hadn't returned, had arrived with torches. The shadows receded, the whispers silenced, and the never-ending staircase returned to its original state. Lily, her face pale and eyes wide with fear, was assisted outside. The village elder, upon hearing her recount, nodded gravely. He spoke of the cursed shadow, a trapped spirit on the staircase, always searching for company in its endless climb. Grateful for her narrow escape, Lily left the village, her curiosity significantly tempered. But the Merrick Mansion stood still, its spiral staircase waiting, its shadow ever hungry for the next curious soul. Situated at the end of a long, dimly lit corridor in the Grand Alden Hotel was room 209. The Alden, built in the late 1800s, was known for its luxurious suites and impeccable service. Yet room 209 remained unoccupied for years, available only to those brave enough to challenge the stories that swirled around it. It began with whispers among the hotel staff. Cleaners would report odd occurrences. Beds that had been made neatly would be found tousled, curtains drawn when they had been left open, and lights flickering without cause. Then there were the guests. Those who spent the night claimed they were awakened by phantom footsteps, chilling draughts, and the soft, mournful cries of a woman in distress. Intrigued by the tales and ever the skeptic, journalist David Keaton decided to spend a night in room 209. He believed he could debunk the myths and write a compelling story for his magazine. Equipped with a night vision camera, digital recorder, and his skepticism, David checked in. The room, at first glance, appeared like any other: elegant wallpaper, plush carpets, and Victorian-era furniture. David set up his equipment, ensuring every corner of the room was covered. As dusk settled, a feeling of unease crept in, but David dismissed it as mere anticipation. Midnight approached. David, lounging in the armchair with a book, began to feel inexplicably cold. His digital recorder picked up faint static. Choosing to ignore it, he wrapped himself in a blanket. Then, a soft knock on the door broke the silence. Thinking it might be hotel staff or another guest, David opened it to find an empty corridor. The lights flickered and the temperature dropped further. Retreating to the room, David tried to shake off his growing apprehension. He reminded himself of his mission, to debunk. Then, his camera, directed at the grand mirror across the room, caught a fleeting image of a woman in a white gown, her face obscured by a veil. The digital recorder, now clear, began to pick up a soft voice. "Help me," it pleaded, growing louder and more desperate. David's skepticism crumbled. Panic set in as the room's temperature plummeted and his breath formed visible puffs in the air. The woman's figure, now more defined, began to emerge from the mirror, her hands reaching out, beckoning. Her voice, once soft, became a mournful wail, echoing through the room. David, rooted in fear, could only watch as the ethereal figure moved closer. Gathering his wits, he grabbed his equipment and bolted, not stopping until he reached the brightly lit lobby. The night clerk, seeing David's disheveled state, offered a comforting cup of tea and a listening ear. David learned from the clerk the tragic tale of Eliza, a young bride who had stayed in room 209 on her wedding night. Her newlywed husband had gone out briefly and never returned, meeting a fatal end in an accident. Eliza, devastated, spent nights waiting for him, her sorrow echoing through the halls before taking her own life in that very room. The next day, David checked out of the Alden, his perspective forever altered. His article on room 209 was published, not as a skeptical exposé, but as a haunting account of a night he'd never forget. The Alden Hotel still stands today, with room 209 remaining its most enigmatic suite. Guests come and go, but Eliza's spirit, trapped in her sorrow, lingers, forever waiting for her lost love. In the heart of the once vibrant village of Elmridge stood an ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches reaching for the skies and roots delving deep into hidden secrets. Villagers spoke in hushed tones about the old oak, and children were warned not to venture near it after sundown. Legends swirled around the tree, tales of voices whispering in the wind and shadows dancing in the moonlight. Elizabeth, an inquisitive young girl, was fascinated by the legends. Her curiosity piqued. She decided to uncover the mysteries of the old oak herself. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows across the land, Elizabeth crept out of her house, her heart pounding with anticipation and fear. The path to the old oak was overgrown, as if the land itself sought to keep the tree isolated. As she approached, the whispers grew louder, a symphony of voices intertwining in a melody of sorrow and longing. Elizabeth strained her ears, trying to decipher the words that seemed just out of reach. The whispers spoke of forgotten times, of love lost and betrayal, of hidden treasures and unsolved mysteries. Elizabeth felt a chill run down her spine as the voices grew more insistent, their stories weaving a tapestry of the village's hidden past. As she placed her hand on the rough bark of the old oak, images flooded her mind. She saw faces of people long gone, reliving their joys and sorrows, their triumphs and tragedies. The tree held memories of countless generations, each leaving their mark on the village and the old oak. Among the myriad of stories, one voice stood out. It was a woman's voice, filled with sorrow and regret. Elizabeth saw a young woman dressed in clothing from a bygone era, standing beneath the oak tree, a tear-streaked face lifted towards the heavens. The woman spoke of a forbidden love, a heartbreak, and a secret buried beneath the roots of the old oak. Compelled by the woman's tale, Elizabeth began to dig at the base of the tree. The ground was hard, but she persisted, her hands guided by the whispers and the woman's voice. As her fingers brushed against something solid, Elizabeth's heart raced. She uncovered a small, intricately carved box, its wood weathered by time. Trembling, Elizabeth opened the box. Inside, she found a collection of letters, bound together by a faded ribbon. The letters spoke of a love between the young woman, Amelia, and a man from a rival village. Their love, forbidden by their families, flourished in secret beneath the old oak. But fate was cruel, and the lovers were discovered. Amelia was banished, and her lover was never seen again. Amelia's voice, filled with sorrow, implored Elizabeth to reunite the lovers, to bring peace to their restless souls. Elizabeth, tears in her eyes, vowed to uncover the fate of the forbidden lovers and lay their spirits to rest. Over the following weeks, Elizabeth delved into the village's history, unearthing old records and speaking to the elders. Piece by piece, she uncovered the tragic tale of Amelia and her lover, their love enduring through the whispers of the old oak. Determined to reunite the lovers, Elizabeth located Amelia's final resting place in a forgotten corner of a distant cemetery. She placed the box of letters on Amelia's grave, whispering words of comfort and hope. As she walked away, the wind rustled through the leaves of the nearby trees, carrying the whispers of the old oak. The voices, once filled with sorrow and longing, now sang a melody of love reunited and spirits at peace. The old oak stood as a testament to the enduring power of love, its whispers telling tales of the past and hopes for the future.